She mocked my unemployment, calling me a total failure in front of everyone. Then her CEO walked directly to Omicron Mu Epsilon and said, "Great to see you again, ma'am." My sister's face went pale when she realized. Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tales, where loyalty dies, lies bleed out, and the truth hits like a slap to the face. These aren't just stories. They're confessions soaked in betrayal and regret. Ever spotted a red flag when it was already too late? Say it in the comments. Let's tear into today's tale. You know what your problem is, Era. You've never had to work for anything in your life. My sister's voice cut through the clinking of silverware at our parents' dining table. The turkey in the center still steamed. I froze fork halfway to my mouth, 27 faces turning to stare. 3 years since you quit that customer service job, and what have you done? Nothing, absolutely nothing. While the rest of us wake up every day and actually contribute to society. I set my fork down, the metal scraping against ceramic. My mother whispered, "Celeste, please not today." But Celeste was already on her feet, wine sloshing dangerously close to the rim of her glass. "No, Mom. Someone needs to say it. We're all thinking it." Clara shows up to every family dinner in those same faded jeans. No job, no ambition, probably still living off that tiny savings account. She laughed, a sharp sound that didn't belong at a Thanksgiving table. Meanwhile, I just closed the Richardson account, $2 million. What did you accomplish this week, Era? Did you finally finish that Netflix series you've been watching? Heat crawled up my neck as Aunt Maribel shifted uncomfortably. Uncle Roland suddenly found his mashed potatoes fascinating. My father stared at his plate, his expression unreadable. Nobody spoke. Nobody defended me. Celeste continued, her words slicing through the silence. She's 32 years old, living in that tiny apartment, driving that ancient car. What do you even tell people when they ask what you do? I could have told her then. I could have shattered her perfect image right there, but I just sat my chest tight, counting my breaths like my therapist taught me. I'm Clara, 32, the quiet sister, the one who built a tech startup from my garage at 23, working nights while keeping my day job because I couldn't afford to fail, the one who sold that company 4 years ago for enough money that I never had to work again. Though I chose to help others build their dreams instead, the girl who sat in boardrooms where men spoke over me until I owned the room, the woman who funded my sister's entire career without her knowing it, and now I'm the sister being torn apart at Thanksgiving dinner while everyone watches. Before I go any further, could you please take a few seconds to tell me in the comments where you are watching from? I want to know my story reached real people, and if you could like and subscribe, it helps more than you know. I never thought I'd share this with anyone, but here we are. Must be nice. Celeste continued, settling back into her chair with the confidence of someone who has never been contradicted, just floating through life with no responsibilities while the rest of us actually build something meaningful. I took a sip of water, my throat desert dry. Our cousin Carl, always the peacemaker, tried changing the subject. Hey, did anyone catch the game last night? But Celeste wasn't finished. You know what my boss said to me yesterday? He said I'm on track to make director before I'm 35. Director? Clara, do you even understand what that means in my industry? I understood better than she could imagine. I'd read the company projections. Just last week approved the budget for the new director position. Suggested they consider internal promotion. I knew exactly what it meant. 4 years earlier, I sat across from investors in a glass-walled conference room, exhaustion burning behind my eyes. 3 days without real sleep, pitching my company Clearvale to anyone who would listen. A software solution that streamlines supply chain logistics for small businesses. Not sexy, not revolutionary, but effective, necessary. We're offering $18 million, the lead investor said. Finally the room tilted. I'd built clear veil from nothing, coded until my fingers cramped, lost relationships, missed funerals, birthdays, my own life. 18 million was beyond what I dreamed. We want you to stay on as a consultant for the transition, they added after that. It's yours to walk away. I signed the papers the next day, paid off my parents' mortgage anonymously, set up a fund for my niece's education, then disappeared from the tech world's radar, becoming Just another silent investor. I moved into a modest apartment, drove my same old car, and started looking for projects that mattered. Meanwhile, Celeste graduated, with her marketing degree, sending out resume after resume. I listened to her cry on the phone to our mother about rejection letters, watched her confidence crack at Sunday dinners. I just don't understand, she'd say. I did everything right: school, internships, networking. Nobody's even calling me back. I never told her that the job market was brutal, that her degree competed with thousands identical to it. Instead, I found Lunar is a promising marketing firm focusing on sustainable brands. They needed capital to expand. I scheduled a meeting. We're looking for serious growth. Their CEO, Dorian, told me, but we need runway for hiring. I'll provide the capital, I said, with one condition: I want you to focus on hiring recent graduates, new voices, fresh perspectives. Any specific schools or programs? I mentioned Celeste's university and program casually. There, producing excellent candidates lately too. Weeks later, Celeste called me screaming with excitement. She'd gotten an interview at Nunnery. A month later, she was hired. I never said a word about my involvement, not when she called about her first promotion, not when she bought her condo, not during the family dinners, where she detailed her successes while shooting concerned glances at her struggling older sister for 3 years. I watched her bloom. She became confident, assertive, skilled. Her talent was real. My investment had simply opened a door. The satisfaction of seeing her succeed was enough. Until today, maybe if you'd applied yourself like I did, you wouldn't be such a disappointment, she was saying, now her voice carrying across the table. Mom and Dad are too nice to say it, but they deserve better than watching their oldest daughter waste her life. My mother's eyes shimmered with unshod tears. Celeste, that's enough. No, it's not. Celeste insisted. Everyone treats Clara like she's made of glass, like we can't tell her the truth. She needs to hear this. The dining room fell silent again. 27 people held their breath, waiting for my response, for the explosion, the tears, the drama that would give them something to discuss. In hushed tones after we left, I opened my mouth to finally break my silence when my phone rang. The screen displayed a name I recognized immediately: Dorian, Nunnery's CEO. Never called on holidays unless it was important. Excuse me, I said quietly, standing up. I need to take this. Celeste rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh, please. Who would be calling you? Your imaginary boss. I stepped into the hallway. Celeste's actor following me like a shadow. Dorian, is everything okay? I answered. Clara, I'm so sorry to bother you on Thanksgiving. His voice came through, excited rather than concerned. I'm actually in your parents' neighborhood for my in-laws' dinner. I remembered you mentioned you'd be there today. The board just unanimously approved that youth marketing initiative you proposed. The projections are looking even better than we hoped. I thought maybe I could stop by briefly to thank you in person. I've got those investment documents for the new Q2. My heart skipped. You're nearby now, about 5 minutes away. Is that okay? I promise I'll be quick. I glanced back toward the dining room where Celeste was still holding court, detailing my failures to our captive family audience. Actually, Tin, I said slowly, that would be perfect. Do you have the full proposal packet with you? The one with the organization chart in my car. Why bring it? I think it's time for a proper introduction. I returned to the table where Celeste was mid-sentence. Can't even hold down a relationship, because who wants to date someone with no ambition, no future? Someone stopping by. I interrupted, my voice steadier than I felt. A colleague. Celeste snorted. A colleague from what job? My father ever practical asked. Should we set another place? No need, I replied. He's just dropping something off. The doorbell rang. 5 minutes later, my mother went to answer it, returning with Dorian behind her. 6 feet 2 inches, impeccable suit, even on Thanksgiving, the very picture of corporate success. Celeste's smile faltered as she recognized him immediately. RM Zarina, what are you doing here? But Dorian wasn't looking at her. His eyes found me, lighting up with genuine warmth as he crossed the room with his hand extended. Clara, great to see you again. That new initiative you suggested is exceeding all projections. The room went silent. 28 pairs of eyes darted between us, confusion rippling through the air. You two know each other? Celeste asked, her voice, suddenly. Small Talon looked surprised, of course. Claire has been our primary investor since the beginning. Without her there would be no Lunar. As he turned back to me, oblivious to the tension the board is, thrilled with the direction that expansion into the European market you pushed for last quarter already. Profitable. I watched the color drain from Celeste's face as the pieces clicked into place. Her perfect career, her meteoric rise, her prestigious position, all made possible by the sister she just spent 20 minutes ridiculing. I brought those documents. Dorian continued, handing me a sleek folder. The organization chart for the new director position is on page 3. We're considering internal candidates first, as you suggested. Celeste swayed slightly in her chair. Her carefully constructed narrative was crumbling around her. The narrative where she was the successful sister and I was the failure. The silence stretched taut and uncomfortable until my father cleared his throat. I think we might need some explanations here. I met Celeste's eyes across the table, the shock there, the dawning horror. Dorian, I said evenly, never breaking eye contact with my sister. I believe you already know my sister. Celeste, the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The beginning of a realization spread across Dorian's face as he finally sensed the tension. Of course, he said carefully, Celeste, one of our top performers. Her last campaign increased engagement by 30%. Is she on track for that director position we discussed? I asked, my voice neutral. Absolutely. Her work stands on its own merit. That was important. The one thing I needed everyone to understand: Celeste's success was real. Her talent was genuine. My investment had created opportunity, not advantage. I finally looked away from Celeste's ashen face to address Talon. Would you mind giving us a moment? Family matter. He nodded, quickly reading the room. I'll call you tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. My mother showed him out, returning to a dining room frozen in uncomfortable tableau. Celeste stared at the table, her shoulders hunched. 3 years, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. For 3 years I've watched you build your career. I've listened to every success story, celebrated every promotion, and not once did I mention that I was the one who made it possible. I never told you because your success needed to be yours. I continued, every promotion, every raise you earned, those my investment just opened a door. 27 faces stared. Forks, suspended breaths held. My cousin Carl looked like he might applaud. At Maribel's mouth hung open. My father's eyes shone with something I hadn't seen in years. Pride. You're lying, Celeste whispered, but there was no conviction in her voice. This is some kind of sick joke. I opened the folder Dorian had left, flipped to page 3, slid it across the table. The company organizational chart, I said. Check the investor panel listing. Her eyes fell to the page, widening as she found my name: board member, primary angel, investor, founder of the investment group that had saved Lunars from folding in its second year. This whole time, she said, her voice cracking. You let me think. I let you think exactly what you wanted to think. I cut in that I was unemployed, struggling, a disappointment. But why? My mother asked, her voice small. Why would you hide your success from us? I looked around the table at the family who had watched me be humiliated without interruption after I sold Clearvale. I wanted a different life, no expectations, no pressure, just the freedom to help businesses I believed in. I met my sister's gaze when you graduated and couldn't find work. I saw how it crushed you. Nunnery needed capital, you needed opportunity. It made sense, so you bought me a job. Celeste's voice hardened, searching for anger instead of shame. No, I invested in a company that needed exactly what you could offer. Your qualifications got you hired, your talent got you promoted. Ask Talon yourself. He doesn't even know we're related. I'm just an investor who suggested they look at recent graduates from certain programs. My uncle Roland whistled low. That's why you never talked about what you were doing all these years. I shrugged. What was I supposed to say? Pass the potatoes. And by the way, I sold my company for $18 million. Money changes how people see you. I just wanted to be era $18 million. My father choked on his water. After taxes, about 11. I corrected, most of it's reinvested now. Celeste pushed back from the table, her chair scraping against hardwood. So this was all just some game to you, watching me talk about my job. while you secretly pulled the strings. Were you laughing at me this whole time? The accusation stung. I was proud of you. Celeste, every achievement was yours. I never intervened in your career after that initial investment. Then why reveal it now? She demanded. Why humiliate me in front of everyone? The room fell silent. Again, even the sound of breathing seemed too loud. Humiliate you, I repeated, the word hanging between us. Like you humiliated me just now. For 3 years I've listened to you belittle me at every family gathering. I've watched you build yourself up by tearing me down, but I stayed silent because your success mattered more than my pride. My voice cracked. The emotion I'd kept buried for years rushed to the surface tonight. You called me a leech, a failure. You mocked my apartment, my car, my life choices. You told our entire family I was a disappointment. I gestured around the table and not one person stopped you. Shame colored every face around us. My mother covered her mouth with her hand. My father stared at his plate. I never planned to tell you about nunnery. I continued, quiet now, but I won't be your punching bag anymore. Your cruelty tonight, that was entirely your choice. Celeste's face crumpled. The perfect image she'd constructed of herself, the successful sister, the family star, fractured under the weight of truth. I didn't know, she whispered. You didn't want to know. I corrected. It was easier to believe I was failing than to ask what I was actually doing with my life. I stood up suddenly, exhausted. I should go. Wait. My father's voice, stronger than I'd heard it in years. Both of you sit down. Something in his tone made us both obey. Like we were children again. He looked between us, this man who had taught us to ride bikes and check oil levels, who had never quite known how to handle his daughter's conflicts. Clara, he said, I owe you an apology. We all do. We made assumptions without ever asking what was really happening in your life. We failed you today by staying silent when Celeste spoke to you that way. He turned to my sister. And Celeste, your behavior tonight was unacceptable. Your sister's life choices are not yours to judge, regardless of her financial situation. Celeste stared at her plate, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. I'm so confused. My mother admitted. Clara, why didn't you tell us about selling your company? About any of this? I traced the condensation on my water glass, gathering thoughts I'd never put into words. After the sale, everyone wanted something. Old classmates with business proposals, distant relatives with financial troubles. Even my ex suddenly decided our breakup was a mistake. I sighed. The quiet was peaceful, and then it became a habit. But we're your family, she insisted. Yes, I agreed. And how many times have you asked what I was working on, what made me happy? Everyone just assumed I was struggling because I wasn't following a traditional path. The table fell silent again, uncomfortable truths settling over our cooling meal. And Yvonne finally spoke up. Well, I think what you've done is remarkable, Clara, building a company, helping others succeed, including your sister. A few murmurs of agreement rippled around the table. Too little, too late, but something. So what happens now? Celeste asked, her voice small. With my job, with us, your job is secure, I assured her. Nothing changes there. Your performance speaks for itself, and us. I considered the question, feeling the weight of 27 people waiting for my answer. That depends on you, I said finally. Not on your apology today, but on what you do tomorrow and the day after, on whether you can see me, really see me, instead of the version of me you created to feel better about yourself. The room was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming from the kitchen. I don't know if I can go back to the office, Celeste whispered, knowing everyone will find out. No one needs to know. I cut in. Dorian doesn't know we're related. The board knows me by my investment group. Name your position is secure based on merit, but this isn't about punishing you. Celeste, it never was. I pushed my chair back. I'm going to get some air. I walked out to the front porch, the November chill settling into my bones. Behind me, I heard whispered conversations erupting, the family processing what they'd witnessed. I sank onto the porch swings, suddenly drained. The door opened a few minutes later. My father stepped out, carrying 2 steaming mugs. He handed me one without a word, then sat beside me on the swing. We rocked silently, watching our breath cloud in the cold air. Your company, he finally said, clear veil. I remember when you started it, working out of your garage. I nodded surprised. He. Remember the name, you came to Sunday. Dinner with your fingers wrapped in bandages because you've been coding so long they started bleeding. He shook his head. I told you to get a real job. You were worried I offered. I was wrong. He corrected, too stuck in my generation's idea of success. I never saw what you were building until today. We fell silent again, the swing creaking beneath us. $11 million, he murmured, almost to himself. It's not about the money, Dad. I know that now. He sipped his coffee. It's about what you did with it. Helping others build something meaningful, including your sister, despite how she treated you. The door opened again. Celeste stepped out, her eyes red-rimmed. Mind if I join you? She asked. Her voice. Dad stood, handing her his mug. I should help your mother with the dishes. He disappeared inside, leaving us alone in the gathering darkness. Celeste sat beside me, the swing adjusting to her. Wait, I've been horrible to you, she said simply. I didn't deny it all these years. I thought. She stopped, reconsidered. No, I wanted to think you were failing because it made my success feel bigger. That's the truth, and it's ugly. Her honesty surprised me. Every promotion, every raise, she continued, I made sure you knew about it. I wanted you to feel small while I felt big. And now? I asked. She stared into the coffee mug. Now I feel like I don't know anything about you, about myself. She looked up. Did I really earn those promotions, or were they because of you? Asked. How alone? I said. Your performance reviews come from your direct supervisors. I've never influenced your career path after that initial investment. She nodded slowly. Why? Lunar is out of all the companies you could have invested in, their mission aligned with my values: sustainable brands, ethical marketing. They needed capital. You needed opportunity. It made sense, and my success. Did that matter to you? I turned to face her fully. Celeste, watching you succeed has been one of the greatest joys of my life. Every excited phone call about a new client or campaign, I celebrated those victories with you, even if you couldn't see it. Her eyes filled with fresh tears. I don't deserve your kindness. Probably not, I agreed, the ghost of a smile crossing my face. But you're my sister. We sat in silence, the weight between us shifting, not gone but different. The director position, she finally said. I want to withdraw my name. That would be a mistake. I can't take it knowing you're behind the company. You be taking it because you've earned it, I countered. Rejecting it won't change the past. It would just hurt your future. She considered this, wiping away tears with the back of her hand. How do I face everyone tomorrow knowing what they know? The same way I faced you for 3 years, I said, one day at a time, with the knowledge that your worth isn't determined by others' perceptions. Inside, we could hear the family moving around, dishes clinking, conversations continuing, life adjusting to new information. I'm sorry, Celeste whispered. I know. Can we fix this? I consider the question, feeling the night air fill my lungs. Not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually, yes, if we both want to. She nodded, understanding the work ahead of us. We sat together as darkness settled fully around us, two sisters finding a new way forward in the aftermath of truth. 6 months later, Celeste was promoted to director at Unary. I attended the celebration dinner, no longer a secret investor but a proud sister. Our relationship remained complicated. Healing happens in inches, not miles, but it was healing nonetheless. As for me, I finally moved into a house I loved, stopped hiding my success, and started a new venture fund specifically for women entrepreneurs. Turns out being seen for who you really are isn't so terrifying after all. If there's anything I've learned, it's that the most powerful revenge isn't about destruction. It's about truth. Sometimes simply revealing who you are is enough to change everything. If my story resonated with you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Share in the comments if you've ever had to stand in your truth when it would have been easier to stay silent. Your stories matter too, and I'd love to hear them. Thank you for listening to mine.